Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Barack Obama was a plant.
Yes. He was.
And now they want to put Michelle.
Barack Obama was a plant. He did nothing for the black community.
Nobody even knows who he is.
Did he ever come back to Chicago with this much crime to talk to young black men?
No.
He doesn't give a.
He doesn't.
Jeez.
Barack Obama is a curse on this nation. So is Joe Biden.
I think it's the black. Yeah.
Abomination.
We provide the
Abomination.
money for his Marxist socialist programs, pushing abortion in Africa and other things.
Abomination.
He didn't care about us.
No.
He didn't care. That gave rise to Trump because Trump actually listened to us. He actually cares. Many of us, I mean, it was bad. At least Bill Clinton BS and said, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
But at least he said it. Barack Obama didn't give a damn. He should have never been elected. Before he was elected in 2000, he got elected in 2008. My mother sent, may God rest her soul, letters to black churches, warning them about Barack Obama, saying he was so ungodly. I said, Mom, that's harsh. She wrote it anyway. And everything my mother said, may God rest her soul, was right. He hates this country, but he wants to live off the fat of the land.
And he is.
Like the founders of Black Lives Matter. They don't give a damn about black people. They didn't have to spend one dime to help build a black business. But these lesbians, they bought homes in predominantly white neighborhoods.
Yes.
See, they say they
She might be on the song.
She
is going in.
She is spinning straight
Wow.
face.
She is going in. And it is always.
But we can't just say that because like we have seen Eric and Brandon, so we can't.
No, yeah, I
can't.
didn't really agree so much with the holding the black men down, but maybe she has points that, I want to, learn more. But because you know how we feel, we're not no victims. So we just think about us.
We've been seeing a little more like you got Tim's guy, you got a couple black
Yeah. There's plenty of people to look up to.
I think she was talking about today's time, though.
She is. Talking about
She
today's
said
time.
Fanny.
But when she said that point about
When they started.
Barack Obama. Yes, he's been used, or shall I say he's using. I don't know, because this is definitely his fourth term if she wants. Anyhow, this man has come out of the darkness, out of the wilderness to try to shame and condemn black men for not being on the Kamala support train. And we all looked at him and said, hey, man, go back home, bro. Like, you know what I mean? This dude in this one interview decided to completely undo decades of brainwashing that has been done to he continued to perpetuate decades of brainwashing that we've since then tried to remove ourselves from, that has been done to the black community. I had to make sure I said this right. Even this former BLM activist is pissed.
It's absolutely degrading, and black men are sick of being reduced to being expected to think with our skin color. We have seen how terrible the Obama, Biden, Harris trilogy has been for our country. It has completely demoralized our country, and quite frankly, Obama has no credibility because this is the same man who heavily endorsed Joe Biden, and we all can feel in our pockets, and we can see it for sure at our border, just how terrible the Biden-Harris administration has been for our country. And Obama admitted himself back in an interview with Steve Colbert that if he could, he would run our country from an earpiece down in the basement. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly what he's doing.
That's the reason why we continue to say that Obama is trying to get his fourth term. For the people who don't know, I'm gonna go ahead and roll the original clip so we can bring y'all up to speed.
What you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine.
Barack Obama single-handedly brought back racism to the mainstream. Somebody said, you done changing our country yet, Barack Hussein? Looks like we finally had enough of you and we don't want anything that you are selling. The left has normalized racism, and this is a fact. The racism runs so deep that it has even found its way into the mouth of the former president that has been accepted by the current nominee for the Democratic Party. It says Obama said in no uncertain terms that they haven't seen the type of turnout and energy by the black population as they did when he ran. He also stated concern that people aren't feeling the idea of a woman president, which is BS, bro. Look, you perpetuating all this BS, man. We don't care. We just care about you being able to fit the job. We don't care about the skin color. We care about you being able to fit the job. Anyhow, let's hear my homie out real quick.
At a recent campaign event for Vice President Harris, President Barack Obama spoke, and he said in no uncertain terms that they have not seen the kinds of energy and turnout among the black population as they did when Obama was running and won. The former president went on to say that he's concerned that people aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, but that they should vote for her because she's a black woman. Wow, a black woman. It is truly sad how major players in the Democratic Party are openly calling for their voters to vote for a nominee based on the person's race, not on their policies or anything of that sort that matters. Liberalism, yes, creates acceptable forms of racism. That's what it does. Could you imagine if Trump said that we should be voting for men over women? If he said we should be voting for a white man over a black man? Or white women should vote for him because he's white? Just about everybody in the media, everyone in America would be calling for his head. But when Obama said the inverse, because the Democrats, racism in some forms is acceptable. Not a peep, not a whisper, not a. This election is about many things, but one of the things is whether you support a country that judges people on the basis of their race and skin. And the fact is, a vote for Harris is a vote for that. It is a vote for the same exact racism we fought back against for a century. I'm Armstrong Williams. Just something for you to think about.
Now I want to show y'all this clip of Byron Donalds. He was working in finance during Obama's term, and Obama's economy grew very slowly. According to him, under 2%. Trump's economy grew at nearly 2 times the pace. Wages adjusted for inflation were up, and the wealth gap was closing. Why? Successful tax cuts, successful regulation cuts, successful energy policy. Byron Donalds, please take this away, Brody.
He didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
How do you respond to that?
Very easily. I was working in finance during Barack Obama's administration. Let me tell you, the economy under his especially the last 5 years, was growing at about 1 to 1.5% per year. I think at the time, President Obama was saying that, this era of large economic growth is something of the past. We're going to have a more consistent economy. Well, in his words, a consistent economy meant one that barely grew. So when Donald Trump came in, he brought his tax cut policy in, which cut taxes across the board for everybody in our country. Couple the fact that he did cut massive regulations from the Obama administration. And what did we see? Economic growth in the United States went from 1.5% under Barack Obama to 3.5% under Donald Trump. Wages adjusted for inflation, like I said, because it's the truth, increased for every subgroup of Americans in our country. The wealth gap was closing. We were actually booming economically far more than we did under Barack Obama. So that's a cool statement he made on the stump, but it's not true.
Not only that, Byron Donalds also acknowledges that Kamala raised $1 billion. She has the media and Hollywood on her side, and she's still losing. Why? She put details matter, policy matter. He says vision matters. And also he put Kamala's record is atrocious. With Trump, we were better off, and we need change. No amount of Obama's radical gaslighting can change these facts. All right, now let's go and play the video that he has listed with this.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
Congressman, your thoughts?
Well, like I said earlier on this, I don't care what Barack Obama says, to be honest with you. The Kamala Harris problem is very simple. She was riding shotgun with Joe Biden, leading America into crisis after crisis, terrible policy, massive inflation, wide open borders, and a foreign policy that's been a disaster. And now you got Barack Obama and the other Democrat surrogates out here saying that Black men in particular need to just show up and vote for her just because she's a Black woman. No. Details matter. Policy matters. Vision matters. And what we've seen from Kamala Harris is that she's been a part of a very destructive administration to the lives of the American people. And she's not demonstrated any ability to be a leader on the world stage that people will choose to follow. So the fact that she's losing this campaign is because she's a bad candidate and she has no vision for the future of the country. She's got $1 billion that she's raised. She has all of media, all of Hollywood behind her. They've scripted everything for her. It's almost like she's a Hollywood actress and she's losing. That tells me everything I need to know. And so just saying that, oh, Black men need to show up, give me a break. Actually have an agenda that works for people, then maybe Black men will show up.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. That seems to be more pronounced with the brothers.
Wow, they must really be terrified. They didn't brought out the big guns, Obama. They're starting to realize that more and more of us have been waking up and seeing how they try to get us to vote, not for the person who's best for our communities and who has the best policies that are going to bring positive change, but they want us to vote based on skin color. We see how Kamala Harris did Black men when she was the top cop in California, Jamal Truelove. We see how she locked up a single Black mother because her child missed too much school, when in reality, the child had sickle cell anemia and was in the hospital. We see how she was brought in as the first Black woman vice president and played a part in our cost of living going up, our groceries going up, our gas going up, our border being let open for the entire world to come in, and people who've come here illegally getting preferential treatment over people who've been in these communities for decades. Our children being put last, illegal immigrants' children being put first. We see how the media told us that Trump was going to be the one to start World War III, and how under the Biden-Harris administration, we're on the brink of it. We see how the Democrat Party has failed our community, how they've hidden their history of trying to continue slavery, trying to keep Blacks from voting, trying to keep Jim Crow going, being the party of the Klan, how they would take us out. And I ain't talking about to eat when we chose to vote Republican. We see how they have Planned Parenthood buses outside of their conventions and target our community. How insulting is it that this man gets up there and tells us that we should vote for Kamala because we're Black? Sorry, Obama, the gig is up. It's over.
So, Obama, in other words, Black men are the problem right now in terms of why Kamala's trajectory as the president isn't as you would like it to be. But I got something for you right here. CNN analysis. Yes, CNN. I know, right? Whoa. Kamala Harris is having a worst performance among Black men in decades. She's doing worse than Obama, Clinton, and Biden. The bottom line is Harris is putting in a historical weak. She's putting in a historical weak performance with Black men. I want to make sure y'all understood exactly what that sentiment was. Let's go and check this clip out.
And sometimes there's a trend line that I never noticed before and make me go, whoa. This is one of them, all right? This is the Democratic margin among Black men under the age of 45 in presidential elections. You go back to November of 2012, what do you see? You see Obama by 81. Clinton only won him by 63. Then we're all the way down to Biden last time around by 53. A tremendous drop already. And then you take a look at the average of the most recent polls, and Kamala Harris is up by only 41 points. That is about half the margin that Obama won them by back in November of 2012. And this, I think, is, when Barack Obama goes in last week when he was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, essentially talking to young Black men, he made it seem like it was a Kamala Harris specific problem. This is part of a long-standing trend of young Black men moving away from the Democratic Party, and Kamala Harris is just the latest to face that magnitude of younger Black men going towards the Republicans.
That was most interesting here is the trend line and where some of the biggest drops happened or already happened in this case. How about Black men overall?
How about Black men overall? It's part of the same picture. we're looking once again, if younger black men, it looks like the worst Democratic performance since 1960, since JFK versus Richard Nixon. It's the same thing among black men overall. Again, part of a similar trend, but here actually the drop-off isn't as dramatic, right? Barack Obama won him by 85. Then you see 71 with Clinton, 69. Biden, basically the same thing, holding steady. But here, again, very, very weak. Only a 54-point margin. Now, again, still winning him by a large margin, but considerably lower than what we're used to. Certainly considerably lower what we had during the Obama years. The bottom line is Kamala Harris with younger black men and then black men overall putting in historically weak performance for a Democratic
candidate. Is she getting any relief with black women?
All right. So, we're talking about the trend line, right? And black women, look, she's doing better with black women than she is doing among black men. But here, there isn't a trend line almost until we get to Kamala Harris. So again, this is a black margin among black women. Look, Obama won him by 93, very large margin. Clinton won him by 93, a very large margin. Biden did a little bit worse at 85. But then you look here, and you get a 71-point margin. Now, again, these are large margins, but the bottom line is when you're talking about the base of the Democratic Party, you would think that Kamala Harris would do very well among black women based upon history. And of course, she would be the first black woman president, but she's actually doing the worst for a Democratic candidate among black women since 1960, if this holds, John.
And again, when you look at the numbers here, whenever you come in, looking at the trends is probably the most important thing.
You got it, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sarah?
Man. Black Americans, black men, we done with Barack Obama and his whatever influence that he thought he had, man. I will say this is the information era. We are in an era where the American people are more educated than ever. Even the people whom, still decide to be zombie-like minded, they at least have access to the information and are choosing not to. But yeah, we have access to information and we able to replay things, see things in 4K. We able to go back and see what you said then and what you're saying now and make the contract. Look, Obama trying to shame us into voting for Kamala. No, it's not happening. And the responses that you've seen in this video, amazing. We can officially call Obama's smug speech the greatest political backfire of all time.